What is going on, everybody? Welcome to your Before the Battle Jim Knowles hunting edition of the Coach and the Couch Potatoes. Always, I'm Jeremy the Couch Potato. Opposite side of the screen, we got Coach Slate. Before we dive into a breakdown of the noon blackout, where the team's going to be wearing red, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, share it on the socials. It actually makes sense to wear the red because you want the crowd to be wearing black. If you wear the black jerseys, you're going to blend into the crowd. Um,
Yeah,
so Saturday, noon, big noon kickoff. Fox comes to town again. Buckeyes and Penn State. 3 months ago, this game was circled as the premier game of the season. The
yep,
defending national champions against the national champion or bust team of the year. And now Penn State rolls in at 3-4, 0-4 in the Big Ten
yeah,
with an
man,
interim head coach.
yeah. Wow, never in a million years would I have predicted this. I thought Penn State was going. I thought this was going to be the year that Coach Franklin really got things turned around, and that they were going to be a true competitor. They got everybody back. Singleton and Allen in the backfield.
Yep.
Drew Aller coming back. Man, the talent that they got on that roster, I thought this was going to be a really good year for them. And man, even after the Oregon loss, I thought like, okay,
Yeah.
like even that after that loss, okay, they dropped one. Oregon's a pretty good team,
Yep.
but man, I did not foresee it going this way.
Yeah, I mean, the Oregon game, really good game. Then you go the score of the UCLA game, in no way, shape, or form indicative of UCLA won that game. I mean, they beat Penn State.
Yeah,
And then you lose to Northwestern and Iowa. So
yeah,
it's not like you're 0-4 in the conference and you lost to Oregon, USC, Michigan, and Ohio State.
yeah,
You lost to Oregon, UCLA, Northwestern, and Iowa.
yeah,
Iowa doesn't even know the forward pass exists still. Um, but it's just nuts. So Terry Smith takes over as the interim head coach, not Jim Knowles. Um, Obviously, that's the storyline. Is the Jim Knowles return to Columbus? Um, Penn State's defense, they're giving up 304 yards a game, 20 points a game. Um, it's not so easy when you don't have a team of Caleb Downs and JTT and Jack Sawyer. And I know you are a huge Jim Knowles fan.
yeah.
Uh, but Jim Knowles kind of made his bed for Ohio State fans to talk their mess to him.
No doubt about it, man. I think the way that he kind of went about things was subpar. I think leaving Ohio State after winning a national championship and going to Penn State was kind of sketchy. I get it. You're a Pennsylvania guy. You may have grown up a Pennsylvania or a Penn State fan. Um, but just the way you went about it, I'm sure he knew and expected that this was going to rub Buckeye fans the wrong way. But it just looked like you were chasing a bag, like
Yep.
that this is the way it looks. That was the optics of the situation, and Buckeye fans were not a huge fan of that. Me personally, seeing the work that Coach Knowles did at Oklahoma State is something that I will always be a big fan of. He did a lot of great things with not a lot of talent. And that is one of the things that I will always be impressed with. And the things that he did schematically were innovative. It was extremely creative. And in the defensive world, is well respected. There's a lot of people, a lot of gurus out there who really studied what he did, and they really took what he did and applied it to a lot of the things that we do as defensive coordinators now. And there are things that he did that I run and call in our defense that I have a lot of success with when I call those things. And so there's just a lot of things that Coach Knowles did that I was expecting to see him run at Ohio State that we didn't necessarily see him run.
Right. The
And
Jack.
so, yeah, yeah. So there were some things that I was expecting to see us run, and we never did. But nonetheless, I think he is a great football mind. I really do. I just wish, he could have, it would have gone about things a different way. But he's a grown man. He can do whatever he wants, and he chose to go to Penn State. And this is the situation that he's in right now.
Yeah, I mean, I just sincerely hope that we get rosy cheeked assassin Ryan Day.
And
Um,
I think we will.
it'll be very interesting. Obviously, you hit on it. Penn State is still super talented. Drew Aller goes down with the injury a couple weeks ago, but let's be honest, Drew Aller had not played good football all year.
Yeah,
Jaden sent me a TikTok, like after week 5, and it was just some of the awful throws that Drew Aller had made all year. Uh, Honestly, I thought the Browns were going to draft him the way he looked.
yeah,
Um, but he might be too tall for them.
right.
The running backs, Katron Allen, Nick Singleton, both of these dudes could have went and made a whole lot of money in the league. And they came back to Penn State. Now, Penn State is averaging 170 yards a game on the ground. Not a bad number,
Mm-mm.
but you also have to factor in their first 3 games of the year were Nevada, FIU, and Villanova.
Yeah,
So their numbers are skewed. They average 34 points a game. Well, in those 3 games, they scored 46, 34, and 52.
yeah,
Um, they're giving up, 300 yards a game on defense. The defense led by Danny Dennis Sutton. This guy was in the discussion to be the number 1 pick coming
yeah,
into this year. Everybody's like, this guy is the next. They always compare people at Penn State to LeVar Arrington and now Abdul Carter.
yep,
And they're like, this guy's the next one. And he's good, don't get me wrong. But he's never struck me as one of those guys. Or a Micah Parsons. That's the
yeah,
other guy um, their O line was supposed to be legit. Vega Ione, I know I probably just butchered his last name. All American candidate. You had 5-star tackles, and it just hasn't clicked.
yeah,
Uh, Now, I will say this about their line. They've only gave up 7 sacks on the year.
yeah,
And Ohio State's a team now that we're starting to get after the quarterback. Um, and obviously, we always dive into the Ohioans. They've got 6. Caden Saunders, I'm pretty sure, is out for the entire year. That's a kid I wish Ohio State would have recruited.
yeah,
Uh, Joshua Johnson, a freshman, just throwing this out there because in Ohio high school football this week, Ironton is all the talk. If you don't know what's going on there, it's an interesting case study. Obviously, with Coach Slate being a high school coach, we're not going to dive into it. Um, I can state my opinions on a special episode if you want to hear them. Chaz Coleman, a dude we both wanted in Columbus.
yep,
But obviously, with the injury to Aller, the biggest Ohioan, Ethan Grunkmeyer.
yeah, yeah, man. Grunk is, he's stepping in at quarterback. Olentangy Brave. Um, Grunk Grunk can spin it, man. Don't sleep on him.
Yep.
His first outing wasn't the most complete outing, but the talent is there. I've watched him go throw for throw with some of the best. With Ryan Montgomery. Um, I've watched him go throw for throw with Tavian St. Clair. He can spin it, and so he's got the ability. He is a Columbus guy, Central Ohio guy. This is going to be a dream come true for him to play against the Buckeyes, and so he grew up probably wanting to be a Buckeye.
Yep.
And so he's going to come in here ready to go, and he's going to want to dot up the Buckeyes. I guarantee
Yep.
you that. There's going to be a lot of family members there. There's a lot of people walking around the hallways at Olentangy High School talking about, can't wait to see Grunk go out there and dice up the Buckeyes. And they're excited. There's a lot of people excited to see him back in Central Ohio. And so Listen, man, like there's so much talent on this roster across the board, and that is one thing we cannot overlook. I have concerns about those two running backs. They are so talented, and we cannot overlook them. I don't care about the record. I don't
Nope.
care who their head coach is. I don't care about any of that stuff. This is still Penn State, and we've got to make sure. And I know Coach Day, they're still going to approach this as if they are the number two team in the country, and they are going to come in ready to go and ready to play. But this Penn State team is fully capable of coming in and clicking
Oh
and it
yeah.
all coming together on Saturday for
Yep.
sure. Like, and so if they want to turn around and hand the ball off 30 plus times with those two running backs, they very well can and would make this a very tight game because those are two of the best running backs in the nation, bar none, like not even close. So this is a very good team, very talented team. They just have fallen on some hard times, but we cannot overlook them at all because the talent is on this roster. There's no doubt.
Oh, 100%. And at the end of the day, Ohio State Penn State games are always funky.
Yes.
I mean, you had the Sean Nurenberger blocked field goal.
Yes.
You had James Franklin running a draw with I think Trace McSorley on 4th and 5. Like you had the Sam Hubbard double sack. You had the I mean, it's a game where weird stuff happens. Ohio State has had some of the most magical comebacks in some of their games against Penn State. The JT Barrett, Wolf Gray uniform, like I've made no bones about it, and it actually showed up in my Facebook memories today. I was ready to give JT Barrett the Heisman after that game.
Yeah.
My guy Johnny Dixon out here catching tutties, the Marcus Ball. I mean, it's Penn State. They are good. You hit on the running backs. Their offensive coordinator, Andy Colton Nicky, I think he gets too cute a lot of times. But, you saw what they did with Tyler Warren last year and got them to, try to get him the ball in every way, shape, or form possible. And if you don't think Jim Knowles has been holding something back
Oh
for
yeah.
this game, he is going to be out to try to take Ryan Day's lunch.
No doubt. Yeah, no doubt. Jim Knowles is going to be ready to go for this game. Um, It'll be interesting to see how Coach Day approaches this game. I think Coach Day has probably been holding some stuff back for this game as well. There were some interesting things said in the press conference. Coach Day is obviously always very professional, but you could read the tea leaves, you could use your context clues and tell that he was not happy with Jim Knowles and the way that he left. And so it'll be interesting to see, do we get to see the rosy cheeked assassin, like you said? It'll also be interesting to see, what type of intel does Jim Knowles give the Penn State coaching staff about, the type of coach that Coach Day is. What type of tells does he have? How do you get under his skin when it comes to schematics? With the type of things that he doesn't like, or where is he going to try to attack, or what type of situational things does he struggle with? Those are the type of things that I always wish I could get into the coach's office and listen to. But it'll be interesting to see what Coach Knowles is telling their coaching staff, because that is the game within the game. When it comes to what's going to happen on Saturday. And so that part of it will be fun, but I think Coach Day is going to have one dialed up and ready to go for Coach Knowles for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the way I look at it, yes, this is Ryan Day's team. Now, if Chip Kelly were still calling the plays, I think Jim Knowles is a lot more valuable in the box. But, Hartline has already shown, and we've talked about it, he's not Chip Kelly. It is a totally different animal. Now, this could be a game where you see Ryan Day be more assertive in the play calling, because it's going to be the ultimate chess match, because Jim Knowles is obviously very stubborn. and does things his own way. We saw it in the first, his first, time at his Ohio State tenure, the big play. We gave up a lot of big plays. And then as the defense, molded, but, it's still up for debate, though. Was the Ohio State defense of the CFP Jim Knowles, or was it Larry Day and Ryan Johnson, or Larry Johnson and Ryan Day?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's going to be it's going to be a war. It's going to be a hard hitting game. It's going to get chippy at some point. Obviously, the fan in me is very eager to see the post game interaction. Which, I mean, Knowles will be in the box, so it's not like the guys will get to see him. But I really would like to see, how does Caleb Downs treat him?
Yeah.
Which obviously Caleb Downs is a class act kid.
Yeah.
And if Jim Knowles were to come shake his hand, he would shake his hand.
Yeah.
But, you just never heard those glaring reviews in a good way like you do about Matt Patricia. I don't know. That's the storyline, honestly, for me, because I know Penn State's good.
Yeah.
But can they put it all together or put it together enough to hang?
Yeah. And I mean, they're very capable of it, man. I think it comes down to that running game. I think if they're able to get that running game going, I think this could be a very close game. I think Katron Allen and Nick Singleton are two of the best running backs in the country, and I think they should be treated as such.
Absolutely.
I really do, man. I really think they are very talented, and so if they can get that running game going against our defense and really keep our offense off the field, I do think they can really keep this thing tight and make it a game. But the one thing about Jim Knowles, man, and this is one of the things that my wife will tell me I'm too nice sometimes, and I always appreciate people for what they did, right, or the things that they've done, and I can be frustrated with people, or I can not be happy with people, but I can always see the good in what they did, man. And so Jim Knowles, Coach Knowles, he won a natty. Like that's one thing that you can't take away from what he did, right? Whether it was the re-engineering of the defense or whatever, somebody had to call the plays. It doesn't matter, if it was Coach Day, Coach Johnson, whatever. Somebody had to look at the call sheet and call those plays and put the kids in the right spots. And that was Coach Knowles. And at the end of the day, he helped us win a national championship. And so, like, as much as I don't like the fact that he's at Penn State, like, when I see Coach Knowles, like, if I ever see him and get to shake his hand as a Buckeye fan, I'll be like, hey, we always had 2024, 2025. You know what I mean? Like, it will be one of those situations, but damn you for leaving to go to State College. But I always appreciate guys for their time that they spent here, but it doesn't mean that we're not going to go out and try to curb stomp them on Saturday.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see, does he lean on A.J. Harris a lot to cover JJ?
No doubt.
A.J. Harris is a dog.
Yes, he is.
Wanted him in Columbus real bad. I don't know. I think, obviously, I still think Ohio State is just as good. Well, let me rephrase this. Talent to talent on paper, these teams are very, very, very even.
Yeah.
Obviously, Ohio State, at this point, does have a somewhat large advantage at the quarterback position just because Gronk hasn't seen a lot of meaningful reps. That kid is good. There was talk his senior year he was going to get the Ohio State offer. I mean, he's not a slouch. But I think the way the teams are playing, obviously, yes, Ohio State is playing a lot better brand of football than Penn State. I think the Buckeyes win. I think it's like 42-17.
Okay.
And before we get your prediction, Stan Drayton is on the staff at Penn State. He's their running backs coach.
I did not know Stan was on the staff.
Yeah. And former Penn State stud middle linebacker Dan Connor is on their staff.
All right.
So they got some dudes coaching these guys up, man.
Yeah, man. Coach Drayton's a good dude. Um, I think this game goes how similar to like how the Washington game went. I think the Buckeyes win 34-13. I think this is a game where the Buckeyes run game is established. And I think we see over 150 yards rushing. I think that's going to happen this week. I don't know who's going to be the lead rusher, but I see collectively over 150 yards rushing.
Okay. That is a bold statement. I like it. Um, because real quick before we hop off here, we have been big advocates of you have to win the rushing battle. I don't think I am anymore. I think you have to be able to run the ball enough. Is kind of my new outlook. But we'll see. I'm excited. Anytime you get these two teams together, it's normally good football. I couldn't tell you the last time one of these teams blew the other one out. I mean, we won't talk about Kerry Collins and Kajana Carter way back in the day. But yeah, I think that's all I've got. And with that, I hear Coach Slate being summoned by a child.
Yes.
So we will see you guys for a Penn State recap the recruiting weekend, and we will see you guys then.